Hi, Maria here. Welcome to my channel. Today I'm excited to share with you my most sexy, sultry, sensual fragrances for summer evenings. So, you know, think date night, think, I don't know, just some romantic situation, maybe on a deserted beach. This is what you're gonna smell like. I can't wait to share this list with you because they're all huge favorites of mine and I really love sexy. I love sexy fragrances, so I can't wait to give you my list. But before we get started, if you haven't subscribed, just go ahead and hit that button, join the Weird and Wonderful family. I would love to have you part of the community, and that's it. Please. Come on board. Come on board with the Weird and Wonderful family. I would love to have you part of the community. I think I'm a little too hyper. Anyway, without further ado, let's get started. I am going to start with probably the fragrance that I think of summer evening sexy-ish the most, and that would be Olympea Intense. Now, I talk about Olympea Aqua all the time. Love that fragrance. Olympea in general would be a favorite, but this one is to me the most sexy, like, and it's a different smell. So this one smells like ocean. This one is salt, amber, and vanilla. But to me, the amber mixed with the salt comes across like resin-ish, or like kind of thick, almost honeyed, like a honeyed salted caramel is what I get out of this. And I find it really sexy. So when I smell this, you know, when I think about the bottle, when I smell it with the salt, I think of some gorgeous goddess rising up out of the ocean. But instead of her being all wrinkled and pale, she's like tanned and her skin is supple and it's glistening and like there's shimmers all over, and as she comes out her hair's wet and then it somehow just instantly dries and she transforms from a water creature to a land creature. That's somehow what I think of. When I think of this perfume, honestly, the face that goes with my picture would be Charlize Theron in like any, like, well, even like, I think she's in the J'adore commercial. I think that's the one. She's coming up out of the water, you know, she's kind of bronzy and she never looks happy. Like, she's always kind of like really like serious and stoic, but that's what I get out of this. Like, yeah, so like that kind of imagery, like I just imagine Charlize Theron coming up out of the ocean and she's got her hair plaited in braids and she's all bronze and then it dries and I don't know, she's wearing some sort of like Greek goddess type costume. Like, that's what I think of when I smell this. So I find this one super intoxicating. It's sexy, it's thick. It's definitely not for everybody because the salt is way stronger in this, in my opinion, than in Olympea or Olympea Aqua. But I love it. It smells, yeah, it smells like you've been having a good time and your skin is smelling a bit salty and sweaty. But in the most beautiful way. Yeah, that's what I get out of this one. So the next fragrance that I have for you is Elie Saab Le Parfum Royal. Now this one is just absolutely gorgeous. Now, where the other Elie Saabs tend to be white florals, this one is primarily rose. At least that's what I get. There's orange in the opening, and then there's rose. There's sandalwood, amber, patchouli, vanilla in the base, but I don't really get the patchouli. A lot of people do find that this is quite heavy patchouli. I don't find that. But what this smells like to me, like, whereas this is like an ocean goddess, this is a royal Middle Eastern princess or queen. So this one, it smells formidable. It smells like a take charge. Well, actually quite a few of these are take charge in some way, but this one's definitely a land woman. So this one, it smells like a Middle Eastern garden to me. I get a certain amount of spice from it, coupled with that the tartness of the orange, and it's almost like it's the orange peel more than it is the fruit. Coupled with that rose, it just smells so intoxicatingly delicious. Somehow it gives me a very similar vibe to Delina. I'm not quite sure why, but I get almost a little bit of a smokiness from this somehow. Maybe it's somehow the spices, like there aren't any spices in here, but it smells like spice. Doesn't smell like oud, but it smells like spice. I just think it's rich, delicious, classy, and really super sexy. Yeah, I love this one. It somehow does remind me of Delina somehow, but I just think it's beautiful. Yeah, it's gorgeous. So definitely check this one out. When I think of this one, I think of some woman, she's strolling in a Middle Eastern garden. There's kind of paths, but and it's kind of a manicured garden, but there's benches that you can sit down along the way, and there's like kumquats kind of hanging from trees, like low-hanging fruit somehow, grapes around, lushness, roses hanging everywhere, like they're just being all this garden, but almost at night. So it's been hot and then it's warm, and you know how when it's warm, the fruit and the rose smell just kind of, it's like it just kind of permeates and perfumes the air. That's kind of what I get from this one. I just think it's gorgeous. I think it smells royal. So this one is beautiful, and yeah, I find it super sexy. Okay, the next fragrances I'll talk about are like, they're three kind of coconut fragrances, but they're all very intoxicating, very beautiful. I'll start with Reb'l Fleur by Rihanna. Now this one, most people have talked about it or at least smelt it. It's been around for a while. I didn't really like it last year, but I'm really liking it a lot more this year. Primarily what I get out of this one is plum, some coconut, and a little bit of floral. I think there's hibiscus in this. Yeah, there's tuberose, hibiscus, and violet in this one. But I get plum, like primarily plum, coconut, and then vanilla in the base, plus a little bit of floral. There's a tiny bit of powderiness to this, but it just smells sexy. Like like with the coconut and with the plum, it smells rich, creamy, a little bit woody somehow. There aren't any real woods in it, but it kind of smells a little bit woody to me. But I definitely get that plum and the coconut. It just smells really, really quite alluring and intoxicating. This one's definitely intoxicating. It's not like powerhouse as the other two fragrances that I met. It also probably isn't as polarizing, and likely more people would like this. This one's got enough sweetness that I can find that guys would really enjoy sniffing your neck with this one. So this one's definitely worth checking out. The other thing that's great about this one is that it's super affordable. So check it out, Rihanna Reb'l Fleur. Okay, the next one that I think is perfect for summer evenings is Versace's Chrystal Noir. Now this one has coconut and pepper in the opening. This one's quite light, but it's super sexy. It's beautiful. It's peppery, but paired with the coconut, it's really quite pretty. So this one, in the opening, you've got like coconut, there's cardamom, pink pepper, so it's quite spicy. I think there's ginger in this one too. Then it's also got peony, and there's gardenia, orange blossom in the mids, and you get a little bit of that floral, but then what I notice is the sandalwood and the musk in the dry down. So this one is like kind of a spicy coconut with a bit of wood mixed in. This one is quite a cold fragrance, so especially if you want something that's sexy but not cloying, like if it's a super humid climate that you're in, or it's super hot out even in the evenings. Sometimes you don't want something that's too much because it can choke you out. This one's not going to choke you out. It's going to be just kind of sexy coconut, mysterious. This would be my mysterious fragrance. So I've said it before, this one reminds me of this gorgeous assassin, and she is like, she's a killing machine. Like, she just really is. She's also gorgeous. She can just kind of fit in whatever scene there happens to be, whatever situation there happens to be, she can fit in. But don't ever mistake her for being gentle, because this woman's lethal. She's lethal. But yeah, I really like this one. I like the spice in it, but it's paired with that coconut, so there's a hint of sweetness. But especially for humid climates, I think this one is perfect. Now, one of my personal favorites would be Dolce & Gabbana's The Only One Intense. Now this one, it has, I believe, neroli, there's apple in it, coconut, sandalwood, vanilla. I think there's some cedar in this one as well. So what I get, the apple to me doesn't smell overly appley, or like I can smell the apple, but to me what it comes across as is kind of a coconut rum drink. That's what I get in the opening of this. I absolutely adore the opening of this one. Now, as this one dries down, it becomes a lot more sandalwoody or woody. So the coconut kind of takes second place to the woods. That said, I still think it's absolutely beautiful. It's sultry, it's seductive, and it just smells, it smells quite edible. The sandalwood and cedar mixed together with that coconut smells creamy. It just smells sensual, if that makes sense. So when I smell this, I don't think of a, you know, a specific woman or vibe. This one just smells really sensual. It smells like getting close, if that makes sense. So this one's really pretty. And like I said, that opening with the coconut kind of smelling like rum and coconut or boozy coconut, just love it. I wish that the opening lasted longer, but overall, I just think this one's gorgeous. And yeah. The next fragrance that I have, I'm really excited to talk about because I've never mentioned it on my channel before, and that is Twilight Shimmer by Michael Kors. Now, first of all, I love the bottle. It's this dark purple color with this kind of dusty rose or dusty pink sparkle all over it. I just think it's so pretty. But what I like even more is the fragrance inside. So this one has plum and red berries in the opening. What I primarily get is the plum, and it is so delicious. I like the plum in this more than I like the plum in this one. This one, the plum kind of reminds me of the same plum in Sophia. So if you like Sophia Vergara, this one I think you'd probably like. Then in the mid, it has Laotian oud. So it's a bit oudy, but it's not a heavy oud. It's not like Shaghoff oud or oud bouquet. It's way lighter. It just adds a bit of depth to it. But it's definitely not an overpowering oud. It just adds a little bit of mystery to it. And then the base is praline and woody notes. So what I get out of this, I definitely get the plum. I get that little hint of kind of a real sweet oud mixed with the praline, and I just think this is super sexy. Like, this is intoxicating to me. Like, I could sniff this all day. It's not super overpowering, so it's not going to choke you out. This you could wear all year round. You could potentially even wear this one in the day, but just that plum, I find plum to be rather sensual in fragrances. So I just think this one's really beautiful. I think it's definitely worth checking out, especially if you go to the cosmetic company. I got this for $20, so steal of a deal, but it is gorgeous. I think these are discontinued, but if you can get your hands on this one, I just think it's totally worth it. Like, it's a little different. It's deep, it's sexy, and that plum is just mouth-wateringly delicious. So I love this one. Next kind of more fruity sexy that I have is Jean Paul Gaultier's La Belle. Now this one is pear, vanilla, and vetiver. I know Fragrantica has a bunch of other notes on there, so there's kind of a smokiness to it. I think there's leather in it. This one is honestly one of my favorite fragrances of all times. I just love this one. When I wear this, I just enjoy smelling myself all day. I find this one so intoxicating, so sexy, so alluring. Oh, like even in the air, like I love that there's a spicy quality. It smells like a liquored up pear. If you want to smell like a liquored up pear, you got to go with this one. It's just gorgeous. It's a bit vivacious, but there's such an alluring quality. This one's flirty to me. I guess that's what I'd say. Some of these are more dramatic. Some of them are just more like this. To me, just kind of almost smells like sex. Like, not to be crass, but kind of smells like sex somehow. Like just skin and yeah. So I love it, but it's not for everyone. This one would definitely be more mass appealing. I can see guys liking this a lot because there's a slight foodiness to it with the pear and the spices, but because it's spiced up, there's a bit of mystery to it as well. So I just think this one's gorgeous. It's pretty long lasting on me, and I just love getting the whiffs of it. I find that the projection on this one is fantastic as well. It's one of the fragrances that I've been complimented on, and I don't get complimented often. So I really love this fragrance. If you're in Canada, this one has been hard to find, but now Shoppers Drug Mart sells it. So if you want to sniff it in store, check it out at Shoppers Drug Mart because you'll be able to smell it there. Like for like over a year, I've been looking for it in store and you can't find it anywhere. But now Shoppers carries it. I saw it in store, so you can actually get your nose on it. It is absolutely beautiful. This one I didn't love immediately. It took me a couple tries, but I have fast fell in love with this one. And this one I could wear anytime during the day, but I think in a hot summer night, this one is perfect because it's not, again, super cloying, but you get that sweetness, you'll get the projection, and I think it's gonna draw people in because you're gonna smell like a liquored up pear. And who doesn't want a little bit of that? The next one that I think is absolutely wonderful for summer nights is Lost Cherry, or I have Frederico Mahora Pure Royal Parfum 900. This one I think is really close to Lost Cherry. Lost Cherry, what I like the most about it is the opening. So the opening is this bright kind of, again, a liquored type cherry or a cherry liqueur. Smells like a dark cherry, really ripe, juicy, dark red inside. That's what I get from this. So that's what you get in the opening. As this dries down, you get some woods, just like in Lost Cherry. So in Lost Cherry, the cherry kind of starts to disappear. You don't lose it completely, but you get this little bit of wood that comes in. Some fragrances that dupe this, they're just duping the opening. So Cherry Delight by Be Layered, I know that Dua has one. I don't know what that one's like. Those ones, like, or the Be Layered one smells more like the actual opening of Lost Cherry. Very, very linear. This one has that woody dry down as well. So if you are wanting to have the full experience of Tom Ford's Lost Cherry, where you get that kind of boozy cherry liqueur, fruity, kind of brighter opening. I'm gonna just read all the notes for this one because there's a ton of them. So in the top notes, you get sour cherry, bitter almond, liqueur. Middle notes, sour cherry, plum, Turkish rose, jasmine, sambac. And then the base is tonka bean, vanilla, Peru balsam, benzoin, cinnamon, sandalwood, cedar, cloves, vetiver, and patchouli. So that base really has a lot of kind of spicier woods to it. But I just find this one super sexy. I like the fact that it evolves. What I love about the Frederico Mahora, the one night I decided to put it on, I kind of doused myself in it. Like, I gave myself a really good spray. Like, it wasn't crazy. I wouldn't say I even did 10 sprays, but I did quite a lot. I could smell it the next morning on myself still. So this fragrance has a lot better longevity than the Tom Ford, which lasts, 4 to 5 hours. This one's going to last a little longer than that. So I was really happy with the longevity of this in the end. At first I thought it was about the same, but I don't think so. because like I said, I could smell it the next day. So if you are a fan of cherry, I definitely recommend this. It's a little bit more complex than something like the Be-layered version. And I kind of like that. It makes it a little bit more mysterious. I like the extra spice, the woods in it. So yeah, check out Pure Royal Parfum 900 by Frederico Mahora, or of course the actual Lost Cherry. So the last two fragrances I have to share for you are more kind of edible, gourmandy. Of course, the fruit ones are kind of gourmandy too, but these ones tend to be a little bit more gourmand. The first one is Love by Sophia Vergara. Now, I talk a lot about Sophia by Sophia Vergara, but I don't think I've ever really talked about this one. This one, it took a while for this one to grow on me. But this one I'm liking more and more, and I think the reason why I like it for a summer evening is it reminds me of Lancome's La Nuit Trésor. I know some people think that this smells like black opium, but to me I get that La Nuit Trésor vibe. Somehow it's a little bit chocolatey, fruity, chocolatey, and it just, to me, is super sensual, sexy, intoxicating. Yeah, I think it's gorgeous, but it's not overpowering. So this one, I'm going to read the notes because there's quite a few in this one too. Top notes are passion fruit, orange blossom, mandarin, and green apple. The mids is Colombian coffee, orchid, coffee blossom, orris, and magnolia. And the base is praline, amberwood, vanilla, and musk mallow. So this one just smells, it smells a little bit thick. It just smells sexy. Like you get that, like to me, I don't notice the passion fruit. To me, it would remind me somehow of chocolate and blackberries. That's kind of what this reminds me of. So it just smells, it smells again like you're wanting to draw close. It's not going to be so overpowering that it's going to choke you out. Whereas something like La Nuit Trésor, I think it's a little bit much for the summer. This one I think is beautiful for a summer evening. So definitely worth checking out. I know this one has coffee in it. I think that's why people think it's kind of like black opium. I don't really notice the coffee, but I definitely get that praline in it. So definitely check this one out. It's such a good price. So the last fragrance that I have for you is Hugo Boss The Scent Private Accord for Her. Now, this one kind of gets a bad rap. I'm going to actually spray myself with this one. Now, this one gets a bad rap for some reason because the longevity isn't great, but I absolutely love this fragrance. So to me, and actually, I've put in a pretty good dent. Like, I use this one a ton. This one smells primarily of chocolate and orange. The longevity isn't great, but I just find it intoxicating. It's light enough that it doesn't feel overpowering, but you get this beautiful chocolate orange fragrance. It's slightly powdery, so it'd be like if you grated grated chocolate, milk chocolate, into a fine powder, and you put some of that in your mouth, and then you kind of went like this on an orange. That's kind of what I get from it. This one, in the opening, it has mandarin orange, then it has coffee and osmanthus in the mid, and then the base is cacao and tonka bean. I get primarily the chocolate and the orange, but I do notice like somehow coffee can kind of sex up a fragrance. So thinking about this one, thinking about something like black opium, there's something sensual about coffee, chocolate, orangey type combinations. This one is going to sit closer to the skin, so it's not a major projector. This one projects way more, but this one isn't going to choke out anybody. And, you know, it's going to draw people in potentially. So I just love this one. It smells super edible. So it's one of those fragrances that you smell it and your mouth kind of waters, at least mine does. But it's not overpowering. It's somehow... out of all of these, this one is probably the least what I would consider sexy, but one of the most sensual because it smells like food, but sexy food. So I really love this one. I love it. I wear it almost every night to bed. This one and Rich Warm Addictive, which is also just gorgeous. I sometimes mix the two, not so much in the summer though, because it gets too hot. But this one I just think is beautiful. So those are my sexy summer, sensual, intoxicating fragrances. What do you think of them? Have you tried them out? And do you have any that you wanted to add to the list? I could have included more. There's always more to choose, but when I think about the ones that I'm going to be wearing for the evenings, if I'm ever able to go outside, we are able to go outside, but we still have to mask and that sort of thing. But I am looking forward to rocking these for sure for date nights. I think they're all excellent options. As far as the ones that I think guys are going to enjoy the most, it would be Reb'l Le Fleur, Belle. I can see guys going for Twilight Shimmer. I can see them liking Love. Also Royal by Elie Saab. Those ones in particular, that said, they're all super sexy, super alluring, and all of that good stuff. So yes, I would love to know what yours are. What are you planning on wearing for the summer, hot summer evenings? Hot summer evenings. I can't wait. Like, it's still not really hot here, but I know it's gonna get hot, and I'm looking forward to, I just want to sip a nice drink, eat some, I basically, what I want is Greek food. That's what I'm really wanting. I'm wanting to sit out on a patio, sip a nice drink, eat some delicious Greek food, and hang out with my husband. That is exciting to me. So yeah, restaurants are now open, so hopefully that'll happen sometime soon. That's it. So have an amazing week, and we'll talk to you soon.